I'd like to welcome everybody to the Municipal Aid Hearing. Purpose of the meeting is to get public input on the condition of our roads and the city, but not the state roads or county roads. So what we're going to be doing today is give you a quick briefing of some of the details, the funding and a few other things. And then we'll ask you guys to, anybody that wants to comment on a specific issue, if you could step to the podium and state your name and your situation and what you're wanting to talk about. The purpose of the meeting is to get information and get input from the public. So primarily we're here to listen and find out what y'all want. For anybody that hasn't attended one of these before or isn't here today, if you notice something in the coming days, weeks, months, years, still call down here to City Hall and let us know. There are several ways. You can call the City Hall number. You can get on the website and use the contact us route. So a lot of different ways to get a hold of us, and we're hoping also to add some stuff onto our webpage. So with that, the first thing I'd like to turn over to is Michelle Gosser, our finance person, to explain where the money's coming from.
Thank you. The municipal aid road money comes from, it's a pass-through through the state. It's on gas taxes, actually, is where the money comes from. And as the years have gone by, this has declined over the years. There's new legislation right now in Kentucky of maybe trying to get us some more money so that we can get public roads fixed in a fashion that we can keep up with their decline. The majority of the money does come from that, though, still, and this year we're expecting to get, in the upcoming year, $315,000 from road money. That $315,000 is going to 100% to repave roads that need to be paved, that have already been paved. We are also adding money to that from the general fund because that has declined, and we feel like we need to keep up with our roads. And so we're estimating to spend $500,000 on streets and roads next year as far as just new pavings, or paving over old roads. We always transfer $25,000 back to the general fund because normally the general fund didn't have to give money, and that's to help do potholes throughout the year. And that $25,000 is used for labor to do potholes. We're also this year in the municipal aid budget expecting to do one new road behind Applebee's. I don't know what it connects to.
It's off the bypass.
Off the bypass behind Applebee's, connect that subdivision into the other side over there to relieve some of the congestion there at the one stoplight on this end of in front of Starbucks. That stoplight we've been having a lot of problems with of over-congested area, so this will push some traffic down to the next stoplight and hopefully keep from having so much congestion and accidents at that spot. And again, that money got transferred from the general fund over to municipal aid to do that. Is there any, I'll turn it back over to John if there isn't any questions on where the money's coming from in order to do these pavings.
Are there any questions? Okay. Next step is just to give you a little bit of heads up. This gentleman here in the blue shirt over here, I'm going to embarrass him, is Shane Morgan. He's working for Allen Construction. He's currently overseeing the paving list that we published in the commission meeting a month or so back. And if you'd like to see a status of where we're at with that, we can copy you off a status sheet if anybody's interested. But in general, he's gotten started. They've paved Bonnie Court. They've paved Popplewell. Y'all are paving Jacobs. They've done some milling around, getting prepared for future paving. And I already asked him, he's not working tomorrow, but they'll be hitting next week. Hopefully the weather will cooperate with us. So everybody's hoping for good weather for their vacation and activities. Well, we do the same thing. We can mill in wet conditions, not raining hard, but we can't pave in the wet. So that's a condition, it's a situation we got to deal with. One thing we want to emphasize again and again, our funding is for the purpose of fixing state roads, or I'm sorry, it's fixing city roads, not the state roads. We got to keep emphasizing that because it's a real easy thing to be concerned about when you're driving around, you see a problem, A lot of folks don't know what are city roads or what state roads. The rule of thumb I've been given is if it does not have a center line, it's probably a city road. So keeping that in mind when you have problems and want to report issues and stuff, if you don't have a center line, chances are we'll probably be able to take your complaint and hopefully do something about it. If it's got a center line, then you probably need to contact the state and the other agencies that are responsible for those. One other thing that we've got currently right now is if you want to call in a concern about a pothole, report a pothole, or report a condition of a street, you like to see it paved, that sort of thing, is if you go to the DanvilleKY.org website, you can click on the How Do I tab. It's over towards the right on the top row. And under that, there's a bunch of different columns. And under the column labeled Report, you can click on Pothole. And you can use that to report potholes and conditions of streets. What's going to happen with that, it'll go through our IT department, and we'll get emailed, either myself, Joyce Collins, my engineering assistant, and Rick Henry, back here, Director of Public Works. And we'll be the team that looks at those reports coming in. If it's something that is a health or safety issue, it gets moved way up on the list. And if it's something that needs to be immediately dealt with, chances are Rick Henry and our Public Works guys will be dispatched out to take care of it. If it's something that's a bigger project or conditions don't allow it to be dealt with right away, then we put it in the list and basically triage all the reports. And as we have the money, have the manpower, we detail people to go deal with them. If it's a much bigger thing where your street needs to be repaved, then that comes back into the paving list, and we deal with that once or twice a year with the road funds as they come in. I can't take off and start spending the money she talked about on July 1st because we don't have it yet. It comes in through the taxes and everything, and we have to work on it through the year. And another situation we have is we may not pave as much in the fall as we do in the spring, simply because the money's coming in, but also we only get so much. We deal with things that might be a really critical safety issue, but then we have to hold back a little reserve for the winter in case there's a bad situation in the winter. Like what happened this year, the remaining road funds we're working on right now, and Shane is doing his darndest to get it all taken care of before the end of the fiscal year. So that's the big picture of the process there. The only other thing I'd like to throw in there is we're going to try to update our webpage so that maybe we might have a page that gives a little bit more of the information like we're going over right now, and have you be able to look at that and be able to find your street or road on there, see if it is or is not state or city, and do your reporting through there. But like I said, pretty much whichever way you go, calling the city, emailing, whatever, it's going to be coming to Joyce, me, and Rick Henry. And we'll do our best to take care of everything with the money we have and the conditions we've got. So other than that, does anybody have any questions on what we've discussed so far? Other than that, the only thing I'd like to make sure is everybody that has an issue, make sure you signed in, because we want to use that to follow it up. If you call in, Joyce will be having your contact information, and we'll be able to put it in the queue that way. Today, we're using the sign-in sheet. So if you want to go ahead and make a comment of a current situation, current pothole, condition of a road, request for paving, we'd ask you to step up to the podium, state your name and your, if you signed in with your phone number and your email address, we'll contact you that way, and let us know the details of your issue. So do we have any takers? Yes, sir, please.
If you don't care to step to the podium.
Yeah, we're recording this, so
Okay.
Another way of making sure we're accountable.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Stocker. I'm a lifelong resident of Danville, and my concern today, I realize, is not a city concern, because what I'd like to talk about is the area of 3rd Street between Main and Broadway. It's in really bad shape, and that is a state highway. It's Highway 33. I realize that. I figured that the city of Danville's thunder's louder than my thunder. So if you all, when you talk to the Kentucky Department of Highways, if you'll put that on a list of citizen concerns, because that's a really heavily traveled area in Danville. Pretty much the only, well, not the only way, but the major way of getting from South Danville to through Main Street, across Main Street to North Danville. And that piece of street is all to pieces. And potholes have been filled and refilled and refilled, and it deserves some attention.
Well,
And
that'd be a great candidate too. You look at the granite curb and everything, we put the money into decorating and dressing that area up, and then the pavement needs attention. So.
yes, I agree that the sidewalks, the curbs, everything's been redone, and that right through there really looks nice. Those big transformers there on the west side of 3rd Street have been taken up, and that was an eyesore. They're gone, and that all looks great. And by the way, fellas, congratulations on the 2nd Street Bridge.
Yes, thank you.
Looks good, and I'm sure that, of course, that's a heavily traveled area also, and people are very appreciative of getting a wider bridge in there, a safer bridge. So, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Next. I don't want to sound like an auctioneer, but going once, going twice. All right, well, if there's no other questions, no other comments, we appreciate your attendance. What did we say? It was a 100% increase over previous years? 200%, I believe. You talked to us on commission meeting several weeks back on 33, it was Colonial Heights, up that area?
Making lines to the entrance.
Yeah.
Turning signals, they paint turning signals
Yeah.
on the road.
Well, that'd be a good example there of like Mr. Stocker talking. We've got your information there, and when we do talk to the state about issues, we'll try to keep that in mind too. Appreciate you stepping up and talking about the commission meeting as well as coming today. So, if there's anybody else, we appreciate your attendance and thank you for coming.
Does the state, is pretty cooperative in listening to citizen concerns? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Well, you know, they're like any other government servant, we can listen and then do the best we can. So, I appreciate a lot of the effort. Most of my background is more dealing with Division of Aeronautics. I used to work at the airport in Lexington, and they do the best they can, try awful hard, do what they can working with the federal and helping the local governments. And from what I've seen of the State Highway Department over the years, they've done the same thing. I'm just more familiar with the aeronautics folks and the FAA. So. But we appreciate it. Appreciate the compliment. All right, thank you very much.